Hey, what's going on, folks? This is Movado 242 coming at you today, November the 26th, 2018. I hope you recovered from gorging yourself on this Thanksgiving holiday, as they call it, if you partake of it. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things today. If you look around the world, you can see the preparations for war becoming more and more evident, especially today with Russia and the incident with Ukraine over some ships. We've had several incidents in the past few months and weeks, but this really takes it to another level. There were actually shots fired. So we can see the globalists kind of losing control and trying to create as much havoc as they can. We've got the migrant crisis over in Europe that's been brewing. We've got the migrant crisis in the United States that's just about to kick off. You got protests in France, Macron raising the tax on fuel, and the people took to the streets, marching, protesting, police hitting them with fire hoses. You've got Brexit going on over in the UK. You've got Merkel losing power in Germany. There was another alleged gas attack today in Syria, this time by the rebels, which you don't hear a lot about. Didn't hear a lot about that compared to when Assad gassed his own people. It was all over the news. You've got tensions heating up in Israel between the Israeli government and the Palestinians and Hamas. And it's really, I think the UN came out. I'm not sure when they made that report, and not that I trust the UN, but the UN came out and called Israel an apartheid state. So there you have it. If you look all around the world, there's turmoil. China's quiet. China's been quiet. North Korea is quiet right now, but I'm sure there's something going on. It's just not being reported on. So it's not going to get any better. It's, financial markets have been on a lot of turmoil, a lot of volatility lately, up and down, some not huge, but pretty big point swings. You've got cryptocurrencies having a bad week. They're down to around 3,000. Was the last time I checked. They were just 3,700. It's at $3,732.58 right now. Last year around this time they were reaching heights 10, 15, 19, close to 20. I think they might have hit 20,000, and now they're down to 3,700 and change. So if you got in at that time last year, you're probably not feeling too good. But, if you got in earlier, like a lot of people did, then you're still way up on the game. I don't know. I don't think cryptocurrencies are going to die. I don't think they are going. Bitcoin has been declared dead several times. And you got this drama over the Bitcoin Cash hashing deal. You need to read up on that if you're so inclined. But that's causing a lot of speculation and uncertainty in the market. So, and then there's just a lot of coins out there that tokens, coins, whatever you want to call them, that probably shouldn't even be there. So keep an eye on that. You've got GM talking about laying off 15,000 job cuts. When Trump's saying he's bringing manufacturing back to America, that's one thing. This war talk. In World War II, we had a strong manufacturing base. We were able to ramp up and get ready for that war. We don't manufacture anything in the United States now. Very, very little. Most of our manufacturing has been shipped over to China, along with our pollution problem. They've got the factories, but they've got the pollution to go with it. And we don't have the capability we had back then. So, and if you think about it, a lot of our military equipment, I heard a stat today: 50%, almost 50% of the world's military budget is the United States. That's us spending. And the latest Pentagon audit, they failed. They were $6 trillion unaccounted for, 6 or 7 trillion, who knows? Not to mention, if you're familiar with Catherine Austin Fitts and a Professor Skidmore from the University of Michigan, PhD economist, they did a study on just HUD and the DOD, and they came up with 21 trillion unaccounted for. What was the term they used? Basically, there was $21 trillion on their books that they couldn't account for. So, there's massive spending, and there's a lot of speculation on what some of that spending is going for. That it's really not lost money. They know exactly where it is and what they're spending it on. If you've heard the rumors of the deep underground military bases and all this extensive highway network underground, they show it to you in the movies all the time, but we just don't believe it. I saw a clip today from World War Z, a guy named Enter the Stars. He does some great work, but he had a clip from World War Z about the wall and the virus and how Israel knew before. Wow, you need to look that up. I think his YouTube page is Enter the Stars with a Z. You might want to check that out. But they show us all this stuff in the movies. They predictively program us, and a lot of people. I don't know if a lot of people don't want to see the truth, or they can't see it, or they don't want to see it, or what the deal is, man. But I've got some people that you can tell stuff to, and they just won't believe it, and they won't even try to verify that it's true or not true. They just don't believe it, and they ridicule you. Okay, I can take the ridicule, but look for yourself, man. Don't take my word for it, and don't just reject it because you don't believe it. I always say, you once believed Santa Claus was real, didn't you? And the Tooth Fairy. So we've got to get out of that mindset of just because I don't believe something, it can't be true, or just because, they wouldn't do that. No, they would do that, and they do that, and they count on you not believing that they would do that. So yeah, man, get and I heard a good comment the other day too about woke people, and when someone comes up and they find out something and you sit on your knowledge, your ivory tower of knowledge that you've accumulated. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's old news, man. Everybody knows that. And I said, no, everybody doesn't know that. Just think back. There was a time you didn't know what you know. So instead of trying to ridicule somebody by belittling the fact that they brought something up to you, and acknowledge it and encourage them. So, yeah, that's great, I remember when I first woke up, my buddy woke me up, man. God rest his soul. He, when I first started discovering stuff, I was coming to him every day with stuff, man. And he called me, he said, look, man, all this stuff, I probably forgotten more of this than you're coming across, something to that effect. But it was nice what he just said, just keep doing your research, man. But yeah, you get some people that just get snotty with it, and they think they've acquired this knowledge and they know more than you and they're above you. Well, that's great that they know that, but spread that knowledge. That is the key. Awareness. The best friend of a democracy is a skeptical public. I'm paraphrasing that term, that phrase, or that quote, but you've got to ask questions, man. And nowadays it's getting to the point where if you ask a question, you get looked at like you're crazy. You know, if you ask a simple question, like why is this or why is that, and they don't like questions. So we need to ask questions. We need to ask more questions. Our population is becoming too dumbed down. You know, we're dumbed down with television, with entertainment, with this circus that we call politics. These guys, they're like they're like wrestling. They argue in front of us, and then they go back and make backroom deals and pat each other on the back because they're millionaires. They're rich. And that it brings me back to that famous segment of George Carlin where he's talking about the big club. You know, he's laying it out. He's laying out exactly how it is. And the people are laughing. And, you know, he's a witty comedian. But he's telling you the truth, man. He's telling you how it is and how it's going to be. But for some reason, we just don't we don't acknowledge that. And you know, I deal with a lot of people that are caught up, not caught up, but deal heavily with the racism issue, and that's true. Racism exists in this country, probably has since day one, and it wasn't always white on black. If you go back even into the earliest days, it was rich elite. And if you were poor, if you weren't a landowner, if you weren't rich, you couldn't vote. You didn't have a lot of say-so in anything. And then, you know, they brought the slaves over and they had to make the poor white people think they were just a little bit better than the slaves. So when really in their eyes, they were both the same. And that's pretty much how it goes today. But we've got the idiots who really believe that they are on another level. But to those who are really pulling the switches, we are all the same. To them, we're all the same. But it behooves them for us to be divided, and it makes it easier for them to conquer us. So, you know, we're hung up on the white versus black, the GOP versus Democrat, liberal versus conservative, gay versus straight, transgender, homosexual, LGBTQ, whatever you want to call it. There's always a yin and a yang, divide and conquer. And that serves the purpose of the elite. So as long as we're arguing amongst ourselves, they are continuing. I told a person, one of my friends, if all the white people, if all the racist white people disappeared off the face of the earth, you still got to deal with, okay, who's running the money? What's controlling the money supply? What about the military-industrial complex? What about the Federal Reserve? What about all these secret societies that have infiltrated all levels of government that you don't even probably know about? What about them? So you think that racism is your biggest issue? It is an issue. Trust me, it is an issue, but it's not your biggest issue, because if it was to go away tomorrow, you find out there was something else bigger than that. But we won't ever see that because we'll be stuck in the weeds. One side thinking they are a little bit better than the other side, and remaining in that divided posture, while really to the guys who are guys, gals, whoever they may be, who are really calling the shots, we're all the same, man. So until we figure that out, we're going to be scrapping, struggling, fighting for scraps, thinking that we got it made. And most of us are really just, a couple of paychecks away from being out on the street, So anyway, this is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to cut it short. Hope you guys enjoyed my rant. I really didn't have a lot of just more of opinion piece, The news is out there. You can read it and decipher it for yourself. So there's no use in me reading a story to you that you can go read yourself. But yeah, just wanted to get some thoughts out there, man. Maybe I provoked someone into into picking up a book. Oh, yeah. Speaking of books, there's a book I've been reading called Hidden History by a guy named Donald Jeffries. You should really check that book out. It's an excellent book. It really will open your eyes if you think that a lot of the things that you think were one way. It may give you pause to think that there could be something else going on. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and press the like button if you did. Give me comments, feedback. Appreciate it. You know, I'm not trying to do this to make any money or become a YouTube star. Hey, this is my part, you know, one of my parts that I can do to try and get the word out and get people to think. Let's get back to thinking. Let's get back to asking questions. Let's not just take what news gives us and say, oh, that's it. Because in most cases, in a lot of cases, it's not. And with that, I'm going to sign off. This is Movado 242. Peace out.